How's that Christmas shopping going? I have to confess, I have never been so organised. I'm definitely not going overboard this year, that's for sure, but I picked up a few bargains on Sunday, managed to get through it. I just set myself a target and said, right, by the end of the day, this has to be done, and pretty much got there. So I've just got a few more things to do. It's interesting, though, at this time of year, I was blown away at the number of bargains that you can find. And even a friend of mine who's a bit of a bargain shopper herself says she saved big dollars this year before Christmas, something she doesn't normally expect to do until Boxing Day. Scott Driscoll is the Executive Director of the Queensland Retailers and Shopkeepers Association, here to talk more about these trends and to tell us whether or not we are really spending or we're holding our money tighter than ever. Hello, Scott.
Morning, Nicole.
Very good morning to you. Now, you met with retail reps last night. What did they tell you? Are we buying?
Absolutely. I think people are out there in droves, and we're seeing certainly an uptake over the last 4 to 5 weeks, particularly. People are actually coming back and getting a lot of confidence back, which is very good.
Are we buying specific things this year? Are we being a bit more conservative?
I think it's business as usual again, Nicole. Quite honestly, I think people are out there doing their traditional Christmas shopping, shopping for toys, electrical goods are going absolutely gangbusters. The reports that I've had from a range of our members as recently as you say as last night, things are really business back as normal. So it's good signs.
But is the reason business is on par with last year because retailers are desperate? They're worried that people won't spend, so they're putting on all these pre-Christmas bargains?
Nicole, I think in small part, yes, but in the reality, I think what really is starting to come to bear here is we've got a very strong economic situation for most household budgets. We've got low petrol prices, we've got low interest rates. People in the main are experiencing high employment levels, and we're actually realising that the sun is coming up each day as opposed to what some politicians might have had us think a few months ago. So throw in the economic stimulus package just for good measure for a certain segment of the community, and things are looking pretty good. Is
it just about the economic conditions, or are we getting smarter as shoppers?
Oh, look, I think people are actually looking for bargains, and that's something that people have always done, and it's a good idea to do. Spread their shopping around. Don't just go to one big department store and think that it's all going to be there. Look around, spread your dollars around and get the best value. But, traditionally, this is a great time of year from a retail sector perspective, and I think it is really going back to the expectations that we would have rather than the doom and gloom. I'm
a little confused. I know yesterday there were some retail figures going around. Access Economics have brought them out and said that things weren't so great, not especially this year, and this downward confidence at the moment was going to continue into 2009. But from everything you're saying, it just doesn't seem to match up. What's the story there?
No, Nicole, I'm not really sure where that particular report's taking some of its data from or what time. I mean, if it was drawing from back in October when there was a marked decline in consumer confidence, I could sort of more understand that. But it's always a danger when you're being predictive as well, and I think the report you're referring to was talking about predictions into next year and the year beyond. Well, I mean, there's so many options and so many variations in that period of time, it's probably a little bit ambitious to do that. I'm more interested in retrospective reports over the last 4 weeks that back up what we've seen as the sentiment. The Melbourne Institute Westpac Consumer Sentiment Index, which is a very well-renowned and well-respected report that comes out very regularly, shows that there's been a 7.5% increase in consumer confidence over the last 4 weeks. That's bearing out. That's what we're seeing.
And how much of that has to do with the federal government's generosity?
Look, I think in small part it's to do with the economic stimulus package, but you've got to remember that only affects a defined area of our community. It's pensioners and low to middle income families on particular benefits are in receipt of that. So it's not an across-the-board effect, but what it's done is actually tap in and give some confidence to a particular segment. The other segments of our society, though, are benefiting, as I said, from low petrol, low interest rates, high employment levels, and the understanding that things aren't so bad after all.
So if all those factors stay in play, the petrol, I mean, it can't last forever, although it is fun, do you expect consumer confidence to remain buoyant from here, or could it dip again?
Look, I think it'll dip after Christmas, but that happens every single year. I don't think that will be an unusual thing at all. The great thing in Australia is, I suppose, by comparison to the United States or the UK, for example, is we've got so much, the RBA, that is, has so much to play with on their interest rates. So, we're still quite high by comparison to the rest of the world. If they need to stimulate things, there's a lot of leeway to drop interest rates further to do so if needs be to get through this. So I'm very confident moving forward, and I think retailers in general are actually breathing a sigh of relief that there was that blip on the landscape there a month or so ago, a pretty dangerous blip as it was though, but we have turned the corner.
Scott, isn't it your job though to talk up consumer confidence? Isn't it in your best interest for people to feel that it's okay to go out and spend?
I think we've got to tell as it is though, Nicole. I think we've actually got the responsibility to say, well, this is what's going on out there, this is what retailers are doing. Retailers have reacted by giving some pre-Christmas sales, and that was certainly in response to the fact that there were concerns in October and early November that things weren't going so well. But I can only tell you what the feedback is now, and that is, people are out there in droves and the confidence is back.
Not too worried. Scott, before I let you go, a quick question without notice. A story that I'm going to look into a little bit in more detail after 9 o'clock is the push by unions to get Anzac Day for 2009, which falls on a Saturday, to have the following Monday made a public holiday. Where do you stand on that as from a retailer's perspective?
Well, I told the Minister that I was against it, and I'm glad to see that he's come out on the side of sense on this. What we don't want to do is create an impost on business, an impost on retailers, but the broader business community, and create a false sense of a public holiday. Anzac Day is Anzac Day, and I think most people, certainly the RSL, I'm aware, believe that it should be the day that's respected, not just creating a public holiday for the sake of having some time off and using Anzac Day as an excuse.
Scott Driscoll, thank you very much.
Thanks, Nicole.
Appreciate